same thing, if you're loping your horse and he leans on the outside rein, and let's say we're loping the circle here, and he starts to anticipate going that way, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put my right rein on his neck, pull him in the ground, break him around like this, and lope him up. Anywhere he leans, I'm going to take that away from him. But I'm going to say it again, if you don't have your foundation, you are not to do this. Because there's no way I want to hurt this horse or confuse this horse. So you need to know, that horse needs to know when that right rein goes on his neck, he goes to the left. And when the left rein goes on his neck, he goes to the right. Okay, did I explain a little bit of that to you? Don't ever let them lean. If they lean this much at home, it's going to be that much in the show pen. And the more people you bring to watch you go to the horse show, the more they're going to be back. They know. They have 2.5 minutes to do whatever they can bring up. Alright, so don't take anything for granted. If something doesn't feel right, fix it. When you loop a horse with a circle, like I said, shove a drop animal right down there, and he stays right between the bridle reins. Any other questions about the reining pattern with the circles? Small circles, how fast, how slow, anything, anybody? No? Okay. We're going to go ahead and move to the turnaround then. Now the correct way for a horse to turn around is they spin off their inside pivot foot. Now, a little bit of a misunderstanding about a turnaround is when a horse turns around, it's not coming from the outside. It's actually coming from the inside. For a horse to turn around properly, he's got to reach in with the inside front leg and do what we call grab real estate, okay? He's got to grab ground and pull. It's not coming from spurring the heck out of him and driving him from the outside. In order for that horse to turn around properly, he's got to step with that inside leg and pull. And that allows that outside leg to step over. See Bucky turning around there? He's stepping up with that inside leg and pulling himself around. Step, pull, step, pull, step, pull. You could go around there all day long. Not that I would make it. Do you understand? They step, they pull. And again, what are we coming back to? We're coming back to our foundation. The only way that that horse is going to stay soft and supple and reach that leg back and pull is if everything is, if he's broke. See when I take this horse's face and I take it to the left, he never tries to take it back from me. I don't care, I can drop that rein and that horse will walk around. He's as light as a feather on that side. He does not try to take his face away from me. He follows his nose. I have a little curve in his rib cage. I have a nice curve in his neck and his hip. See this nice curve that he's got? He's not fighting me anywhere. Now, if he was to be stiff in his face, and that's where the stiffness starts. If you've got any of your other horses that are pleasure horses or whatever, and you've got a stiff face, you're going to get some stiffness in their body. If you're trying to get a horse soft in the poll and trying to get him to steer, and you've got a stiffness in the side of his mouth, it's going to go and it's going to go into his neck and his rib cage, and he's going to roll that rib cage down and drop that shoulder, and you're going to have a lot of problems. So that's why I always say, take your time. And when I say take your time and put a foundation on, when I have a colt, I'll spend 90 or 100 days or 120 days walking circles and bending and trotting and walking and bending and trotting until these horses just get so soft in their mouth and their neck and their sides that everything is willing and they're not afraid. If I grab this horse quick with my hand and he takes that face and gets stiff and I'm trying to spin him to the left, this horse is broke, he's probably going to do it anyway. But on a young baby, if their face was to go to the outside like that, where a lot of people try to spin, eventually this inside shoulder is going to come forward and he's not going to be able to cross over and keep himself from getting hurt and stepping on him and hurting his knees. Does everybody see what I'm talking about? Because it can get complicated, but I don't want to sit here for 4 hours and get you guys bored. Does anybody have any questions on the turnaround, how we start them, what we do with them? Yes? No? You understand it? They generally, you want them to use their inside pivot foot. Now when they get going kind of fast, sometimes they'll use both pivot feet, but you don't want them using their outside pivot foot. If a horse is using its outside pivot foot, it's definitely rocked back on that outside hip, and they're not following their nose and walking forward. So, yes? Okay, if they're pivoting over center, what do you do? I'm assuming that you're saying they're pivoting from the middle of the body. When another thing we call that is swapping ends. Okay? So now, with your Morgans, some of that, you will have to allow some of that again, because we've got such massive front ends on these Morgans, and a little bit less hip. So, you know, sometimes they'll get going fast and you'll get a little bit of that. But what causes that is you don't have enough supple in here. You're not broken up in the side of the face and in that rib cage. So what happens is they stiffen that rib cage, and you've got like a board. If you want to think about it, if you had to do a cartwheel or bend over, if you kept your rib cage stiff, you couldn't do it, and you'd have to move your back end to get around. And that's the same thing with them. So what you want to do is go back to your foundation. And what will happen, like if you have an older show horse, they'll start doing that pretty quick, because, you know, it's like anything else, they're broken. We don't have to do as much on the foundation, and we take them for granted. And before you know, you're like, wow, where did that come from? So I try to start every ride, every day, even if it's 15 minutes. Because I think, you know, these things are athletes. And if you start out walking and jogging and suppling and just getting their foundation going, but in the meantime, you're also legging them up and keeping from golden tendons and check ligaments and all that stuff. But that's your answer. You're losing something. You're missing something in here. And it's probably coming from the side of their mouth first. And then possibly you might want to use a little inside leg, even though that can be a little voodoo, but you might want to get a little inside leg in there and bend around that leg. You might want to push your leg into his rib cage. We do a lot with the 2-coming 3-year-olds, and then we sort of get rid of it as we get to finish them more. But if you push that inside leg, like a dressage horse, they'll do a lot of bend with your inside leg, and your outside leg sort of stays back and drives them forward. If you have both legs like that, you won't create a problem. You might want to get a little inside leg and a pulsating leg, not a solid leg, on, off, on, off. And a horse will give quicker and get broken to that versus a spur or anything. And I don't like to spur when I do like to push. Okay? Yeah. Okay, the question was, when you start to bend like that, how do you go from that into the turnaround? What you want to do is, you want to start out with your inside leg at the girth and your outside leg behind the girth. And with this, the horse is now following his nose. Now your horse might be pushing a little bit on that inside leg. So who knows how long you'll have to stay. But after everything feels soft, the horse is following his nose. Now what I'm going to do is, when I feel my horse is soft and supple and willing and willing to go around, what I'll do is I'll take my inside leg off, and I'll just nice and easy pick up that outside rein, click, and I opened that door on the inside, and that just allowed him to come around. Now if I was spinning, and then I wanted to come out of that turnaround, which we do a lot of when we're teaching them, I'll bend and walk and follow his nose, click and go. Now I want to go back out of it and school him again. I just apply my inside leg and come right back around again. And it's nice, it's easy, it's soft, and you'll get rid of that swapping ends. But what is it? The outside, that's what's coming next. Your outside leg is driving forward. And you need that forward motion, because when your horse is swapping ends or spinning from the middle, this isn't doing its job. No, because, and that's my next step, then you want to do a little bit of like hip control, so everything kind of stays in. What's happening is he's starting to spin with the shoulder and throwing his butt out. And that's coming from that stiffness right in here. So you want to go home the night before a horse show. Winter time is a great time for this, because if you get a little bend in there, you've got months to work your way through it. You don't want to do it the day before. Okay. Any other questions on the turnaround? Okay, now a little bit about the turnaround when you're showing is, we can judge, we have four spins to the left, 4 spins to the right, okay? The judge sits in the middle. You are judged on starting and stopping directly at the judge. So in other words, when we start, we always start slow, then we build, and then we roll. Any deviation from that would be a minus half, or you get into your penalties. start with her weight, but you have to watch that track so you're not letting your weight get to your inside stirrup. Stay off your inside stirrup and allow that horse to go first. You don't want to spin a horse, like say I'm going to start to the left. I don't want to be on this left side and then try to get my horse to come around because he's like, hey, come on, Mom, get out of my way, man, I can't do my job. But if I'm out here and I ask him, he's like, yeah, now I can go and I can go do whatever I want to do. And that's important. You've got to keep your weight over and allow that horse to go first, even when you're circling, rolling back before getting into it or turning around. Watch where your body position is. It's not horsemanship, but let me tell you what, all my riders that went through horsemanship and the English and all that stuff, they really do well pretty quick because your body position is so important so that horse has an open door to do the things the right way. Okay? Go ahead, Kieran's going to do 4 to the right, 4 to the left. Starting and stopping on center. And she's not going to go fast, she's just learning. Nice and easy. 1, 2, 3. Now she's going to get ready to whoa and whoa. She did 5, she's off that now. That's okay. And then she'll go the other direction. See, all we're doing is starting and stopping right in the center. Nice and easy, nice and slow. This horse is going to have a real pretty turnaround when he's done. He's just learning. And whoa. Okay, and that's very important. Your start and your stop are really, really important. So you want to take your time and make sure your horse is comfortable with it and not nervous about starting or stopping. And what makes them nervous about it is when you spur too much or pull too hard. I'm a very soft horse trainer, and I don't believe in getting after them like that. Occasionally they need it, but I think the more scared they are, the more trouble you're going to have in the pen. You want to keep these things relaxed. Any questions on the spinning of the horse show carpet from anybody? Okay. Yes, down there. Go ahead.
I have a horse. He's not a reining horse, but I use it in my exhibition class. He crosses one direction, but he doesn't cross the other. He wants to scoot with the other.
Does he want to hop the other way?
Occasionally.
Occasionally. Her question was she has a horse that she uses that turns around one direction and crosses over, and the other direction he doesn't. Well, unfortunately, they're left-handed or right-handed, just like we are. So your job is check in and see what feels different on one side than the other side. And I'll tell you, I'll give you the answer of what's going to feel different. The side he crosses over, he's going to be softer in the back side of his mouth. His neck's going to be softer. He's going to be more willing to walk and bend and follow his nose. The other side's going to be a little bit stiff, and he's not going to